The BT14 Yellow Vaccine support and Patamon are just so good to the point that they're even able to make Mastemon applicable at the same time. So here, I'm going to show you guys what we got for today. Alright, Digi-Egg cards, we are playing the yellow base now this time, which is different to the purple base from before. Pokemon from BT14, your turn once per turn. When a card is added to your security stack, you get to draw one. Really good for that purposes. We'd always try to recover, switch up our security over and over again. So one of the best eggs to run right now, of course. And since we're playing a yellow base, it only makes sense that we're including the brand new BT14 Patamon as we talk about our rookies. This one, obviously, at the start of main phase, searching your security stack, digivolving into a vaccine yellow as well, which is really good. And then you don't even have to pay memory for that. And then also put a vaccine yellow card at the bottom of your security stack after you shuffle it and all that kind of stuff. And when you digivolve, essentially with its inheritable, you get to gain a memory back, and with the synergy with the Tokomon alongside with it, you also get to draw a card, which is really, really good. So very powerful card, definitely a 4 of, just because this is the card that you always want to be digivolving your rookie on top. Then I actually like to play 2 copies of Salamon, just because of sometimes traditionally you might be building your stack on the back and then you want to hard play later on to let you end of turn DNA. Very, very simple, because you get to do your end of turn DNA combos. You can get into your Mastemon and then sort of do all those crazy stuff and play stuff, put stuff in back security. Really, really important. It comes in clutch every now and then, but we definitely have more other rookies, which I'll talk more into tech choices as well. Then to round it all up, we're actually going to be playing 2 copies of Cutemon here, which is from all the way back to BT5. Opponent's turn, your opponent can't reduce Digivolution cost. Very, very good in this particular format to floodgate against training boosts and stuff like that. Very good against green as well, and this is the main rookie I like to go for when it comes to the floodgates. In case you didn't know, I actually opened up my very own merch store, and there you can find some awesome keychains, stickers, and memory markers like these. They even come in bundles, so be sure to check them out. And as always, thank you so much for the support, and be sure to stay tuned for more drops coming in the future. That's it for all of our level 3s. We're only playing 8, but don't worry guys, this deck is actually very, very flexible. You don't really need to see your rookies as often, just because you really actually, more importantly, seeing your Gatomon as we talk about our level 4s. 4 copies of Must. This is actually the card you always want to try to mulligan for and try to find, which I'll talk more in the combos as well, but you always want to see this card in your opening hand just because of its on-play effect. You get to search top 3, grab 1 purple, 1 yellow Digimon card as well to your hand, and it can digivolve into like an Archangel, Fallen Angel for reduced cost of 2 as well. So really, really good, so that you can turbo into your level 5s, bring out another level 5 afterwards, and then DNA as well with its end of turn inheritable, just like the Salamon, which is why we want to play that too, just because we don't want to have Gatomon to be the only one that lets us end of turn DNA, which comes up very, very often in many games too. Then moving on, we play 1 copy of this Angemon from BT14. Really good because it can digivolve for 2 on top of Patamon, otherwise it's digivolving for 3 on top of a regular level 3. It has that 1 attacking, you can take out a virus thing by putting it back to the bottom of the opponent's security stack, or you can minus 5k to something to delete itself by doing all these kind of effects. And on deletion, you get to basically put this card at the bottom of your security stack and hatch an egg if you have a tamer in play. Any tamer works basically, not even just TK, but it also has an inheritable, letting you place 1 yellow card with vaccine from your hand to the bottom of your security stack as well. So really great recovery. Always great to see it in security in the early stages when you can get into on top of your Patamon with it, which is always really nice. Speaking of Angemon, we definitely want to be playing this Angemon alongside with this Devimon package, just because it's always very flexible. You can get into it as well, and then with its on deletion, if you have a Digimon or Tamer in play, you get to play a Devimon from the trash. So you want to see the other Devimon, the Devimon comes out, it has Rush and Retaliation as well, as long as you have a yellow Digimon or Tamer, which you always really will in this deck, which is very, very, very consistent at doing that. Really nice clutch plays you can go into to make extra swings for game 2 whenever you have that kind of combo. And last but not least, for our level 4s, playing 1 copy of the Geo Gray, just because you can essentially utilize it with the Patamon. You find it in security, you digivolve it for free, and you could potentially even play a Tamer for free, which is great, great, great value when it comes to it. So yeah, definitely would play more if I could, but this card is restricted down to 1. So now let's talk about our level 5s. Let's start with our yellow package stuff first. For Angemon specific, let's actually go with 2 copies of the BT11 Angewomon just because it can help you search your security stack and you can recover one to grab yourself pieces if you need and find it in there, and you get to gain a memory back whenever you play a Lady Digimon or a Mirai Tamer specifically, once per turn, and it has that inheritable opponent's turn while you have a purple Digimon in play. All your Digimon with Angel, Archangel, or Fallen Angel gain blocker as well, which is really neat. And then otherwise, there's the other one from the starter deck 10 being the Mastemon starter deck itself. It has on play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -2 security for the turn, and it has that inheritable giving you extra security +1, which is kind of neat. Been juggling between both of these, but I kind of like the searching Angewomon just a little bit more because for consistency when it comes to playing this deck, you do want to find your pieces as quickly as possible, so you don't want to be behind when it comes to that for sure. And then for the other yellow stuff, we're playing 2 copies of Magna Angewomon, one of each of the older one, all the way from BT1 and all the way to here to the newest BT14, old and new practically all together. The old one's still really good because you can always just easily just recover one when it's on play. You definitely have those effects to synergize together. And this one, the new Ace one, is just really good. You hard play a Galomon, sometimes you just pass your turn and you had this guy, you can always surprise your opponents during the opponent's turn when they try to like swing over the Galomon or try to like make an attack or chip and disrespect. You basically also get to recover one if you have 5 or less. Minusing DP to your opponent's Digimon is always really cool just because of that. So I like to play these 2 Magna Anges in the deck there. Now let's talk about our purple level 5s. I play 3 copies of the BT3 Lady Digimon and 1 copy of the BT11 one. You guys can argue and say you might want to do 2-2 or 3-1 and sort of change up the ratios, but throughout playtesting, just by my personal experience, I think Lady Digimon is just really important for the BT3 one because of its effect to draw 2 and trash 2 when digivolving. You draw 1 for actual digivolving and you draw another 2 via its effect and trash 2. This is your only really more sort of the main source to trash cards from your hand, and because we're no longer playing the purple package, which you used to for the purple base, you're not able to trash cards as consistently, which is why I decided to prioritize more on this one, because you do have to have specific cards in your trash to help you bridge more into combos as you move along, which is very specific as we talk about our other cards. It has that inheritable, letting you delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon if you use an option card as well, which is really neat. Otherwise, the BT11 one is also when digivolving, lets you trash 1 card from your hand, you can grab one of your pieces back from your trash to your hand, Archangel, Angel, or Fallen Angel, and it has a very similar effect just like the other Angewomon from BT11. When you play an Angewomon or Mirai, you get to gain a memory back. And last but not least, with its inheritable opponent's turn while you have a yellow Digimon in play, all your Digimon with Angel, Archangel, and Fallen Angel gain retaliation as well. Now, again, very specific reason why we're playing lots of the BT3 Lady Digimon is because we also really need to find ways to trash our Lucemon Chaos Mode, which I still like to play 2 copies of because of its versatility when it comes to removal. It can remove anything that's level 6 or lower. It can remove any Tamer from the opponent's board as well, which is why it's really cool, and you do really want to see this as soon as possible because that is the main Mastemon combos when it comes to the plays, which I'll show you guys later on as well. But really important because you do want to make sure it's in your trash. Very rarely want to hard play it until it's like very late in the stages in the game, but you do want to see it as often enough, but not too much that you're breaking, so therefore I play 2 copies of. That's it for level 5s. Let's talk about our level 6s. 3 copies of Mastemon right here. Speaking of Mastemon, do you guys know that we're actually going to be getting a new Mastemon Ace from EX6 Infernal Ascension? Now, if you guys are just as excited for that to come up, and I'm definitely going to be making updated deck profiles for then be sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell right now to stay tuned. And if you guys always see my constant updates and what I've been working on my deck list, definitely join the AVAULT Club right now and be sure to check that out, and I really appreciate the support from all of you. 3 copies of Mastemon right here. Still your main boss Digimon of the deck. DNA Digivolving with a yellow and a purple level 5 together. When DNA Digivolving, you get to place 1 yellow or purple Digimon from your trash back to the top of your security, and then you get to look at your security and then play something out of it as well. And then when you play something out of it, you get to utilize this all turns effect. You get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with level equal to or less than to what Digimon you play as well. Really good combo synergy again with the Lucemon, so you get to pop 2 things in one go is really, really neat, and definitely want to see this as often as possible. I have debated playing 4 copies of it, but sometimes I feel like it's just kind of better to, you know, play lesser copies of her, so then we can play a little bit more copies of this Ophanimon Fall Down mode right here, which I like to have 2 of. I initially played 1, but I definitely find having 2 is really good, just because she's always really good to Digivolve into in the early stages of the game to help you pop something that's lower and recover 1, which can help you sort of set up your defenses so that you're not getting run down very quickly against most other fast-paced decks in this current format. She has floating capability when it comes to on deletion as well, letting you play a purple yellow level 4 or lower Digimon back from your trash for free. Ideally, you want to cycle your Gatomons with this so you can continue searching, which is always great. And yeah, you never really get to Digivolve for 2 on top of Ophanimon because we don't play that at all. But speaking of Ophanimon, we definitely have the other counterpart, which we have Seraphimon I like from BT14. This card I really particularly like as well because for 4 costs, you get to recover 1 when Digivolving. You get to minus 7,000 DP to one of your opponent's Digimon when a card is added to your security stack, and this card itself gains security +1 as well. You can make extra checks, go for your aggressive plays, and one of the other beatdown card that you can always go for in the early stages of the game. Now let's talk about our level 7s. Definitely have Ordaimon right here. Great comeback card. When your low is low, as long as you have level 6 to on board, you can DNA Digivolve a Mastemon with an Ordaimon, a Mastemon with Seraphi with Ophanimon as well, and get into this card, blow up your opponent's entire board, recover a bunch, and come back. And it even has floating itself with on deletion, trashing the top card of your security stack to play her out back for free, which is always really good. So really nice clutch card for sure that you do want to see in certain situations. And last but not least, for level 7s, I opted in for 1 Shine Gray Ruin mode right here. If you guys don't want to play Shine Gray Ruin mode, definitely other suggestions could include like another Mastemon, another Seraphi, some other level 6, or even Death X, whichever you have access to, which is always really good. Then, because it lets you, when Digivolving, minusing 5,000 DP, blanket effect of your opponent. Same for its on deletion, end of attack and whatsoever. Really good card. It can Digivolve either on top of purple or yellow, making it perfect level 7 as well for this particular deck. That's it for all of our Digimon. Now let's talk about our Tamers. Definitely 3 copies of Mirai, not only being both purple and yellow as a tamer for 5 costs. You'll always continue to gain memory at the start of your turn with no conditions whatsoever. Your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into Angelmon or Lady Devimon, you get to play one of the other ones from your hand for free, as long as that's the only Digimon present on the board at the time, by suspending this tamer. Really good because it helps you turbo immediately, bring out 2 level 5s for free, essentially, because you Digivolve for 1 and then the other one comes out for free. You can immediately DNA into Mastemon, which is really crucial, which will showcase you guys as well how that works. Then I like to play 2 of the brand new TKs from BT14, just to give you extra search when it comes to like your security. You can grab something, place something back as well. And mainly with its secondary effect is because that whenever a security card is added to your stack, you get to spend this guy to gain memory back. And again, you do it a lot in this deck anyways. You're always getting constant value just from that. So even for the 3 memory costs, is always really worth it. And with that being said, we also play 1 copy of the Memory Tamer TK, which is really good, especially when it synergizes with Mirai together. You're gaining a lot of memory at the start of your turn. You're playing with 4 memory essentially, but also being able to search a bit more, recover 1 afterwards as well if you grab a yellow card, which is really important for you to sort of access into that as well. That's it for Tamers. Now let's talk about options. 4 copies of Chaos Degradation, one of the best removal cards in the game. Right here, both yellow and purple, placing one of your opponent's Digimon at the top or bottom security stack and you trash it, basically removing anything. And it's really good afterwards because when you trash the top card of your opponent's security stack, you can also, reveal more information and get rid of some like annoying security effects that might actually hit right there depending on what you have against, which is really good. Security, it only just puts one of your opponent's Digimon back to the bottom of their security stack face down, and that's really all it does. So still really good removal, really good disruptive thing, especially you want to see it in security as well. Then I'm playing 2 copies of Flamehouse Scythe right here. I might debate to bump this back to 3 or 4. Really good card generally as well, because you can minus 6,000 DP something, play something back from your trash, and then continue the cycle and continue combos and go ongoing whatsoever. But I'm playing a lot more different options as well in this particular build, which is why there's not enough room for it, but still a very fantastic card, which I do recommend. Anywhere between 2 to 4 is definitely sort of what I would take on. And that's because I'm actually playing 2 copies of Emissary of Hope. Emissary of Hope for just 1 cost, allowing you to search your security stack, and one of your Digimon can Digivolve into level 6 or lower for free. And then if you have a Tamer card with TK, which you do play quite a handful of, you get to recover 1 afterwards as well. This is almost just being basically a free Digivolve instantly, which is really neat when it comes to sort of going into even your Ophanimon fall down mode or your Seraphimon, or even just sometimes if you want to traditionally Digivolve into your Mastemon as well, which if you don't see your pieces is actually super helpful. Security effect is great, that you play a Patamon from your hand or trash for free. and you get to add this card back to your hand as well, which is why this card is incredibly good. But if you guys don't like this card and not a fan of, definitely take a few out and sort of like put in Flame House Ice back. Totally up to you personally there too. And last but not least, because we're playing yellow base, I think this card is still one of the best out there. Reinforcing memory boost, even for the 6 cost, you still get to recover 1, set up your security by revealing the top 2 cards of your deck, add the other one to your hand as well, and delay gives you 3 memory back, which is really great. See this card early in the stages of the game, even better, and always works out nicely when you have an opportunity to play it for sure too. Alright, tech choices and other cards that I've considered like sort of playing when I was like sort of playtesting this deck as well. First we have Candlemon, which I initially kind of liked, which because it gives you that inheritable when you play another purple Digimon, you get to gain a memory back. However, I kind of felt the Salamon was just a little bit better when it comes to end of turn DNA, which is why I didn't play it, but still a really good card to have for sure, because you can sort of manipulate the memory gauge and sort of like give your opponent fewer memory to work with when you do your DNAs too. And then we have Meikumon, which is still kind of decent just because it can come out from security, but also it has that on deletion. You get to gain 2 memory as long as that Digimon has 2 or more colors, which is kind of neat. And because of Meikumon, then Maycrackmon Vicious Mode is also really good because you can sometimes play it back, you know, being able to like delete things, trash cards from your hand as well with its on play and with an Digivolving effect, but it does cost 4 to Digivolve. But otherwise you want to hard play it sometimes even with Flame House Scythe, which is why it's also a pretty decent card there too. And of course, as we're going up the entire line, might as well just mention Ragulmon as well. In a very clutch situation when you're behind and you have nothing left on the board, Ragulmon is just perfect because when you hard slam it, you can then play either Mastemon or Fanimon fall down back from your trash, and then immediately DNA Digivolve into Ordaimon afterwards with all of his effect. It's just really, really cool with that to make big comeback plays. Other than that, there's also Venusmon that I like to mention. Venusmon is actually really good, very strong and powerful with her blanket effect of minusing security 1 across the entire board when Digivolving. Really good at countering against any decks that gain security +1 as well, because they can't get when attacking when Digivolving effects and can't attack into her either, which is always really neat. So a very good counter one if you ever want to play a little bit more defensive style and sort of like slow down the game with it and play very control as well at the same time. For another tamer, other than just the TK, you can definitely play Kari, but there's reasons why playing TK as well, just to sort of like synergize with our Emissary of Hope as much as possible. If you want another memory tamer, Kari's is always still fantastic because it's just like the TK from BT14. When you add cards back to your security stack, you get to suspend this to game 1 and whatnot. So really good card there. Then because we are playing yellow base, you can definitely play some or tech in like 1 or 2 copies of these sort of yellow memory boosts and physical trainings. There is an argument to talk about yellow memory boosts more particularly because you can want to be digging deeper into your deck. Being able to dig deeper, you can also gain memory, which is kind of neat. As for physical training, is also nice just for the lower cost, but you don't always end up Digivolving on a yellow Digimon all the time, which is why physical training isn't just as good, but really up to you based on your personal preference, because when you do Digivolve in yellow, you're getting your value. And like I mentioned, you kind of play some purple stuff as well, so you don't really get to use that. Otherwise, yellow memory boost gains permanent memory, which is always kind of better in that kind of perspective there too. And then of course, I still like to include and talk about Calling from the Darkness and Deathclaw. I really do want to find room to, you know, put a Calling back just because of how good it really is to help you grab more pieces. And if you ever need to do any self-deletion combos, which is always really good, especially when it comes to like Ophanimon too. And Deathclaw does similarly the same thing as well to remove something. So really up to you guys, sort of how you want to juggle on these sort of like tech choices. Overall, it's worked out without it for now, but I am considering putting some of these back in there too. Alright, combos and how to play this deck. There's actually a lot of different ways and a lot to talk about, so definitely pay close attention. First and foremost, mulligan hand, opening hand, what you want to be seeing is actually your Gatomon priority. Multiple copies is always great. You also want to see it as your first card, whether you're going first or second. You really just want to see this as soon as you can and hard play it as soon as you can, so you can search and find pieces. That is one of the most important things of the deck because you can grab 2 hits immediately off of it, and that is your top-notch priority. Secondary to that, any rookie will really do. Ideally, it would be your Patamon. You do play 4 copies of, which is why you do see it more often, because it has that synergy with Tokomon if you ever Digivolve into, and otherwise, you would want to save your Salamon and Digivolve into it if you don't have your Patamon. And then lastly, it will be your Cutemon, but sometimes if you have multiple rookies in your hand, you might want to keep Cutemon on your hand, because in clutch situations, when you see your opponent have like training boosts and whatnot, that's when you can hard slap it to pass turn or whatnot, so then they can't utilize them as well. So really crucial and really important. Don't be shy. If you're going first, give your opponent 5 memory with Gatomon. really important, because the later you play this card, the slower you're gonna get. Very important that you put this established on the board as soon as possible. You don't want to be slow when it comes to your searching, and the later you play it, the chances are it's easier for your opponents to remove it as well. So in the early stages of the game, it's harder to do that, so make sure, very important. But as you're sort of going through, there are also your level 4 vaccine cards. Ideally, you actually want to see these in your security. So you do, when you have your Patamon, you do want to push up immediately, search through it and find it. You won't always find it, but if you do, at least you're getting access to your security, getting information. Make sure to remember what's in there, because it's very, very important, as it helps lead into your later combos and your later plays, especially when you have Emissary of Hope option later on as well, when you have TK setup. But as we continue to move along, what other cards you sort of want to play and sort of find as you go, you do want to find your Mireis and play them as quickly as possible. You do want to play your TKs. Any Tamer that you see in combination with Geogreymon, fantastic, because you can digivolve it for free with Patamon starter main. You get to sort of recover, put one thing back underneath as well. So, you know, put anything that's yellow vaccine back to the bottom of your security stack, gain a memory, draw a card, and then use Geogreymon to look once again, cycle through and play one of these Tamers for free, and then you're just getting a ton of value from that. That's really optimal. Really, really good for you to analyze and for that situation, because if you do see that opportunity, you have to go for it. Now, next steps when it comes to sort of like your level 5s, you want to see your Lucemon eventually as you're sort of searching with Gautomon or drawing pieces. Magnet Angemon Ace is really good. Like I mentioned earlier, if your opponent tries to threat or attack in early stages and disrespect, you can immediately just blast Digivolve for free and just take out their Digimon surprise and recover one, making sure you have 5 or less. Now, another way to do it is if they pass turn back to you, you don't always have to sort of like be greedy with the hand trap. You can Digivolve Gautomon into Magnet Angemon Ace for 1 cost as well, because it is on Archangel. So you reduce the cost by 2. There, you get to still recover, still get to pop your opponent's Digimon, still really great value there. That's some early game situations. And this is why, again, Lady Devimon is super important, because if you Digivolve Lady Devimon for 1, you draw and cycle for more pieces, which is going to be crucial, because eventually you need to see your level 6s, your Mastemon, Seraphi, or your Ophani, and whatnot. And you want to make sure that you're trashing Lucemon Chaos Mode, for example, so you can play it back from trash. You might want to trash Angemon, for example, because you get to play it back from trash as well. And this applies to the same to the older Magnet Angemon combo still. Trash it, so then you can potentially play it back for free. You want to keep a cycle of cards and set them up so that when your Mastemon comes out, you can DNA very, very effectively. Now, of course, there's a lot to sort of like pay attention to. So there's 2 ways to sort of climb into your Mastemon. One, ideally, is having the Patamon and a Gautomon together. You Digivolve right here, just like that. And then you might even just Digivolve into Angemon here. You pass your memory to your opponent's side, but you can still get to do the end of turn DNA and reset. All of this is actually going to be really crucial, because once you go into Mastemon, you get to put something back, either your Magna Anja or Lusa, whatever it is, or even sometimes if it's a Gato, you know, whatever you have at resource at disposal during the trash, you get to play these out, pop anything that's level 6 or lower, a Tamer, and then pop something that's level 5 or lower. If not, same thing, Magna Angemon, recover one, and then pop something that's level 5 or lower. Now, because you added security cards back to from your trash, you get to reset these inheritables as well, because you DNA'd. So you get to gain a memory back here. You get to draw another card with Tokomon as well. Really, really good because of all of that. So that's really great value. And then if it's ever sort of your turn, you continue and just swing with Mastemon. Otherwise, you have a defensive lineup right here with Blocker, and potentially get to sort of like delete level 3s or lower if you play an option card, especially when it being Emissary of Hope. And like I mentioned earlier, make sure you establish TK. Make sure when you play Emissary of Hope, when you search your security stack, remember what you had there, because sometimes you don't get the luxury to DNA Mastemon. You might just have to Digivolve it for 1 cost and put something back from your trash to security. You don't get to play anything, but that's still okay value overall. If you have to continue, you have to go for those combos, you have to get to your top end, you can't slow down, you can't wait, otherwise your opponent's gonna start answering your board and you can't make a comeback from it. Sometimes this deck is fairly weak in the early stages of the game, so your opponent just chip you down a lot, but in the later stages, when you get to your combo, make sure you can always recover, control the board, sort of stall out the game, prolong it until you get your favor and control back, so then your opponent runs out of their resources, you start clapping back at them as hard as you can with it as well. Like I mentioned,
the reason why that this deck is not super good in the early stages of the game sometimes, which is exactly why I like to play Ophiani and Seraphi as well. Seraphi is great when it comes to digivolving and recovering as early as you can. Both these cards recover you in the early stages. Seraphimon, you do have to keep in mind, you can digivolve on top of Lady Devimon because you're going to get digivolve on top of yellow. So, you know, going on top of Angelomon is great. Otherwise, like I said earlier, sometimes there's a lot of combos and situations. I always digivolve Magna Angelomon Ace on top of Gato, and then I would go into Seraphi, minus something by 7k, recover 1 as well, security +1 as well, and then you make sure you can swing. Make sure to suspend your TK as well to gain a memory back so you can retain your turn and go for the early game aggressive checks as well. If not, like I said, if you don't see Mastemon, go into a Ophiani fall down mode, pop on your opponent's level 4 or lower as long as you have a purple source, which is your Gatomon. If you have Gatomon, you can do both. You can recover 1 as well, and then it's really great when it's floating because you don't have to worry if it gets deleted. If it ever gets deleted, you cycle back your Gatomon essentially and search all over again for really cool versatile plays and continue there from then on. Keep beating down with Ophiani as much as you can. You do want to take every opportunity you have to swing at your opponent's security, take them down. You are still trying to win at the end of the day. Sometimes when it comes to the alternative win con, you can deplete your opponent's resources by so much, you actually end up decking them out as well. But you don't really want to run into that situations at all times just because it can run into time issues as well. But anyways, then now let's talk about the Mirai combo here. Again, if you ever have Lady Devimon plus Gatomon, you digivolve into it, it's your turn, you start at whatever memory, digivolve for draw, and it's the only Digimon on the board, then you can basically just hard play this Angelomon for free. Really, really fantastic. So then you can also just DNA right away and still keep turn into Mastemon just like that. If you ever had this Angelomon, or for example, you have this other Lady Devimon, instead of digivolving into either or, you might digivolve into this Lady Devimon or this Angelomon, and then you play the other one out, you get to gain a memory back as well from that. And also with Angelomon Search, you also get to use TK to also suspend it because you do recover 1, so you get to gain memory back and then continue to DNA just like that. And ever in situations in the later game combos, if you really need to go for your top end stuff like level 7, depending on your opponent's matchup, what they're playing, you might even go into Rune mode, blanket 5k, delete everything, wide board removal, which is fantastic, and maybe swing for in the same turn if you ever can. You know, that'll be really good. And then 10k blanket overall. If not, you might sometimes want to go into Ordainmon if you ever build like another stack eventually, which you might have Ophiani with some stuff underneath it, and then you can control the board well enough, you can DNA for an opportunity and pop wide boards as well and deal with it just like that and be really, really strong and continue to swing as much as you can. Reset all the DNA inheritables all again. Very, very strong combos, very, very cool plays. And of course, in other clutch situations, you always want to be seeing your chaos degradations and your security. You will know what your situation is like if you see it in the early game. If you don't have any, that's fine. You know you have to continue to cycle security as much as possible. That's some of the things that you got to think about during the game. If you see some in the early stages of the game, then that's fantastic. You might want to think twice if you're going to be playing TK if you knew that already, because otherwise you have to be adding it to your hand end up, then that wouldn't be really the ideal situation you want to be in. So of course, play these cards at your will, based on the situation, based on the game state, based on the board state, control the board and get rid of your opponent's, you know, boss Digimon with these kind of cards out there. And one more final really important combo that I have to show you guys is the combination of these two memory markers right here, Angel and Devil. Be sure to get them right now on the AVAULTstore.com. If you guys want to see this deck in action and gameplay, definitely watch this video right here, right now as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. This is AVAULT signing out.